Hey, this is Chase Sexton. You're listening to the MotoXpod show.
What's up, you guys? Jeremy McGrath here. You are listening to MotoXpod show.
All right, thanks for joining in on another Vital MX MotoXpod show presented by Race Tech and Boyesen. We're deep into these off-season shows, guys. 59 days until A1, in fact. Hopefully I had that number right. I did the math today. I counted on my fingers. Don't have 59 fingers, so I could have missed one. But we have a few things to talk about, including World Supercross and an interesting team sign-up that happened recently. I'm a little sick, so hopefully I don't cough and hack too much into this microphone. But if I do, you guys will live through it. We also have on the show this week, Star Racing Yamaha's Nick Romano is going to come on. He hasn't raced in over a year. And then Phoenix Racing's Brycen Neal, who won his second GNCC XC1 quad championship. Yes, we're going to have a quad racer on. We have, I have made some fun of quad riders, but Brycen's a bad dude. So looking forward to hearing what he has to say. Did you think, Scotty, or TJ, especially you, because we've made fun of you for you used to race quads a little bit. Do you think we'd ever have a quad racer on?
Of course, because, I mean, those guys are, like, tough, and they are still racers. And so, I mean, I don't see why y'all hate so much. But, I mean.
Well, I'm not hating tonight. He's a bad dude, and you could, I mean, he'll put me in my place, I'm sure, if I hate. So,
yeah.
In studio, as you can hear, TJ Smith, I guess I'll go to you first since you talked, even though Scotty's more important.
Scotty is definitely more important now.
What?
Yeah.
Is this going to be a whole? I'm not going to get used to the
now you screwed up his talk.
Shut up, idiot.
Yeah. Okay. There. Okay.
Also in studio, working the cameras, YouTube chat. Scotty Thompson, what's going on?
Hey, not much, man. Just glad to be back. We had a listener already excited that thankfully that somebody's doing shows and that we have content to put out, even though all in the off season. So glad to be here.
Well, yeah, Pulp did a show last week. We didn't. We're doing a show this week. He didn't. He's back next week. We won't be.
It works out.
Yeah, it's working out for this month anyway. In December, we haven't really talked about yet. But also on the line, all the way from sunny Southern California, Vital MX's Michael Lindsay. What's going on, ML?
I'm just thankful to be back in sunny Southern California. I spent 2 weeks in the Carolinas and New Hampshire, and it rained and poured and was cold the whole time. So I'm very appreciative to be home.
That's interesting. We're going to get into why you're in Carolina in just 1 second. But first, we are going to get into the Boyesen Open discussion. And Boyesen would love to spotlight their Factory Racing's Rider Support Program, which is a comprehensive support system for motocross and off-road riders. Off-road riders, including guys like Brycen Neal. Right. Yes. Yep, thank you. Off-road.
Off-road.
The program offers participants exclusive access to Boyesen's products, yearly discounts, and potential to become one of their new product development test riders. Join the community of Boyesen Factory Flyers by visiting boyesen.com today. I'm having a real hard time, TJ, not coughing. Guess I'm not going to make it. This is going to be a rough night. So, Michael, you were in the Carolinas. Maybe you did a little bit of pleasure, but you were there working quite a bit. You were at Phoenix Racing a lot, and one of the topics I do want to get into is Dylan Ferrandis has signed with Phoenix Racing. Why were you there?
Careful with that wording.
Okay.
Careful with that wording.
Okay. We're hearing that he's going to sign with Phoenix Racing. You've been there. What do you know? What was your involvement?
I got a handful of things I can't go into, but
sure.
Cool part, I got to be there for his first day on the bike. Knowing the team owner stuff, I kind of figured out what was going on shortly before. So actually we finished some bike testing here. I got to red eye there. Go his first day at the track. And I mean, a lot of this is birthed from Dylan wanting to try a Honda. The relationship he's kind of developed with Ziggy from Factory Connection since, he worked with him there at the end of his Star tenure, starting from Unadilla on. Ziggy was doing his stuff. And Ziggy, knowing David, they all just kind of, hey, let's put him on a bike and basically see what happens and see what we can make of it. So, yeah, they ran the track, built him a bike. He came on road. He was, like you have gone to interview Dylan quite a few times. I've always had good interactions with him, but you hear, some of the things of rumors and comments about how he is to the team and how he's to deal with. He was so respectful and nice and excited about the chance to ride one for the day. He genuinely loved the bike, had a great time. They're all working on stuff now.
TJ, Scotty, we've heard, right? We've heard that he was going to maybe go to Hep Suzuki. Michael, it did sound like he rode the Suzuki. Do you know what happened with that?
I could be wrong, but I was told he tested the bike twice, actually.
Okay.
But from I would consider a pretty dang good source that should have known. I was told he rode the bike, and I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't personally ask, but there was some comments made when I was around. I mean, I think the Kenny Vito thing's pretty true.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I
think
figured.
I mean, it even has to do with his riding situation right now. There's some stuff, yeah. Again, there's things you can't quite take as a situation, but I would lean towards the Kenny Vito thing is not completely wrong, I don't believe.
So with a rider like Dylan, who can, I mean, really and truly, if the world was right, he could, almost ask a premium because of his, his history, his abilities, and all that kind of stuff. How does that work with a team like Phoenix? Do they bring in outside?
He has no ability. No, he has no ability to ask for a premium right now because he doesn't have options.
No. I'm saying if the world was right and there was options out there, he's a past champ. He should be able to. But when he goes to a team like that, is it like, hey, do what you can, I make bonus, or I know you may know more than you can say, but how does it...
and I'll guess I can touch a little on it. Like definitely, they're working on some, but like, yeah, he's very motivated to go racing. He's very motivated from the standpoint of, at one point I heard something kicked around bonus, and there was a comment about, he thinks he only deserves to be paid if he can finish top 3. So I mean, nothing else. So, yeah, I think he's very, very motivated, wants to prove something. I think there's kind of end of, I don't know if I would say he's, I wouldn't say he's, like cocky about it, but there's an aspect of trying to prove to people like it's not forgotten about, but like, yeah, people are passing him up and there has been an opportunity. It sucks. It's timing. A lot of people have asked, like, I've had people, why doesn't Dylan have a ride? Is it purely because of reputation? It's a combination of things. It's timing, really weird year where all your big deals that he would fit into were almost all already signed, had been in motion way before his deal. Weird that he picked a 1-year deal, that you're coming in a star, probably in retrospective. I say retrospective. If it didn't work, it didn't work. Yeah. But he was out. It kind of got drug out late. There just was nobody with budget. The industry's tight right now. I know a few teams they went to, and your base factor teams looked at it as like, man, we can't even just field a third bike for you, which some people go, well, what the hell? Why can't a team just throw together a third bike? Even at Dylan's level, it's expensive between test bikes, race bikes, proper equipment. If you're going to do it right, if you're actually going to hire and put your best foot forward, I've had multiple factory 450 teams tell me that all the equipment to do this correctly at their level, just mechanic and equipment, it would cost a team $300,000 to $400,000 before you pay the guy's salary.
Yeah, I was thinking at least 2.
Yeah. So there's that. Some teams like how you have crew chiefs for each guy. Like there's just certain situations where it's like, okay, that's hard. And then if you're, let's say you are Kawayama, the bonuses really aren't insured anymore. The insurance thing doesn't really work worth a crap. Like the system's been abused too much. You pretty much are paying them out of pocket. The OEMs do. So, I mean, Dylan honestly can go a streak. If you even take his outdoor results and add together with what a factor bonus is, let's say a team picks him up and goes, okay, we're just going to give you travel money, $2,000, $2,500 a weekend. So we're going to give you almost the whole season, $80,000 in travel, no salary, bonuses, and cover, your equipment, your mechanic, etc. $400,000 to take him racing.
Yeah.
And then in bonuses, he can rack up $1 million in bonuses really easy if he goes out and kills it. I'm just talking about if he goes and wins a bunch of outdoor nationals and gets seconds and thirds all the time. I mean, okay, men's really high scale, $500,000, $600,000. So a team has to have factory team has to have $1 million in budget to take him racing as a third guy with no salary.
And where do you stand? Do you think he's gonna be able to rack up some money
Yeah.
I think so. I'm a Dylan fan.
I think he's I think work ethic's amazing. I think talent on the bike is. I think the chip on the shoulder aspect, like he really wants to prove something. And I think he's in, where I think he's in a very happy environment. He's dangerous. Period.
And he's driven.
Yeah.
He's very driven. It could go any which way. I'm not predicting here he's gonna like stay. Oh yes, he's gonna kill. But we were, it was kind of, even when driving mechanics, I was like, how could he do? I'm like, dude, even on this bike, he can win a race.
Yeah. And I don't think personally that he's peaked in Supercross on the big bike yet. Like I think he's not even close to accomplish what he should have or could have done. So I'm interested to see if the Honda is really going to find the answers that he was looking for, because him being frustrated with the bike was obviously a thing. So I guess my question to you is, where do you think he finds those answers in the Honda?
I think in Supercross, yes. I think it's a little bit setup. I think it's a little bit environment. And I use this same thing when I talk about your Chase going to KTM situation. Everybody, I think we may have talked about this on a show one of the last times I was on, but take what happened a couple years ago with Tomac, Anderson, and Malcolm all playing. They all swapped each other's rides basically, and all of them had issues with their outgoing positions, saying they won't work with me, this won't work, blah blah blah. There's a certain thing about when a rider and a team are very motivated to make something work together. I say that with Chase KTM this year. Yeah, you can point fingers what happened with Webb and what the guys have been saying about the bike, but if the rider wants to make it work, the situation work, and the team wants to, at the end of the day, Dylan, we can name off 10 dudes that can win a Supercross. We say that every year going into the season. It all comes down to, does the situation click, and how are they mentally with it? Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's becoming more and more as the team and the equipment get better and all these training programs get better. I feel like the mental side just becomes bigger and bigger all the time.
Yeah, and he's been on Yamaha so long that maybe it's kind of a trend
Yamaha's
now.
The only thing he's raced in the States.
Yeah,
literally.
That's true. Yeah, so it might be just one of those things, kind of where when Tomac left Cowie, like you kind of mentioned, I think it'd just be one of those things where he might have just needed something different, just a whole different vibe, and who knows.
Yeah, there was a lot of tension I think at Star Yamaha between him and the team by the end. There was just, he wasn't getting what he wanted out of the bike, and he's very demanding.
And listening to me, he made a few comments I can't repeat a lot, but he wasn't like, he didn't bash on them in any way. He just kind of made that sense of just like, hey, it wasn't working anymore.
Yeah.
Like just disagreements, things like that. Nothing, I didn't hear anything out of that was what I would consider bashing or throwing anybody really under the bus or anything like that. Just comments I expect from somebody that just things weren't clicking anymore. Definitely listening to him, very bum sounding by the way it turned out. But definitely not, some people probably picture and they're thinking, oh, he's probably over here saying, screw this guy, screw that guy, blah, blah, blah. No, none of that.
Right.
I didn't experience anything about that. And I was literally, I have every single time that guy pulled off the bike, I have everything he said on camera.
Oh, wow. Yes,
I have a lot of shit on camera, but no, super. Like I said, even the team, just because a perception gets given based on what you hear, and some of the mechanics have never met the guy,
right?
And that was one of the things we left. A bunch of guys like that is not. A couple of them we left and are like, that's not what I expected. Like that's not, from what you hear, like that's not what I expected to deal with today.
Yeah, you were there video, and we saw some of that video on Vital MX. But there was a lot more time him riding the bike than what you actually caught on film. Did it all look on film? Like we're using film. Anyway, did he look good the whole time, or did you just use the best footage you had?
I thought the most interesting thing I told all the guys was they're like, oh, I think there was a comment made about how, like, what the deciding factor will be if he wants to try to move forward with the idea. And because they threw together a bike, it wasn't like super heavily modified or anything crazy. And one of the guys said something about it, and I was like, he comes in here knowing that he's been interested in trying the Honda. He's interested in working with Ziggy. It's one of those things I even compare it to, I remember hearing an interview, and I can't remember if it's one we did or somebody, but Roxon was talking about doing the HEP test, that Dustin had been bugging him, and he did it more as a courtesy. He almost wasn't really considering it. I think he was more driven for the PC Cowie thing, because that was going to be the last bike he rode, and I think that's either that or Firepower, I think more is where his head was at. And then he showed up and rode it, and just certain things clicked and feels. And the bike he tested to the one he raced ended up being, he changed it quite a bit. So it wasn't they rode the bike and was like, oh my God, like I'm going to go win A1 on this. I remember him saying it was just something, just like he was enamored in it, just certain little, tickle feelings come up. And so I told the guy, I'm like, within 3, I said, no matter what's going on with bikes up, no matter how much he wants to change it, I bet you within 3 laps, he knows what he wants to do. and it's just going to be a feeling. He's either going to ride for 3 laps and go, you know what, I want to make this work, or he's going to ride for a couple laps and he's going to know, nah, that's done for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his first session out was like 10 laps.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, that alone, I was like, yeah, I think he's into this idea.
Yeah.
So do you think that is it going to be a scenario where it's kind of like, hey, like, I know what I'm talking about. How this is how I'm going to want the bike, and they're going to be able to kind of cater to everything he wants, or is because Star was like, hey, no, we have to run these certain things. I'm sure there was a yeah. Are they kind of just like all in, like, hey, let's make Dylan as happy as we possibly can, or like what was your sense of the vibes?
I think so, because they've got good sponsors. There's only a couple things I'd say they're like ultra married to, particularly when I think of engine chassis. There's certain things they're pretty open on. They don't have a lot of guaranteed locked in deals, so they can kind of move about. Dylan is very precise with his feedback, little picky on controls. Other stuff he wasn't, not like in a bad way where he come in. He had very precise feedback on what he thought. Like I said, watching him and Ziggy work together is really cool, just because they've seemed to build a pretty good relationship in a short amount of time, and seem to be, their communication is really good. And then from what I've heard, the guy's testing, he's just, he's been testing more, riding more, and sounds pretty mellow so far, just like he's just putting in laps. So see how it goes. But yeah, I think they have a lot of freedom to move around and work things around for him. And even when you're on a program like that, it's interesting because Dylan coming in as a 450 guy, the team contracts are written that way. Like there's even almost extra freedoms. Like there's kind of, you can almost get away with it, like an excuse where you can be like, hey, he is on FaceTime, but it's almost kind of its own program on top of that. So you can wiggle around. Like he's doing his own gear deals and stuff because nothing on the team was written for a 450 Supercross guy. And funding wise, it was easiest, he could get the most money by doing a lot of his own deals. Yeah, I was gonna like kind of like what we saw with like how we used to see it, like Eichel Honda back in the day, or even with Zamzo Honda, 250 guys were all more locked in. 450 was kind of its own thing.
I was curious about the gear thing with Moose and all that. So yeah, that wraps that up. All right, we're going to move on to another topic before we let you go. But first, I want to thank Race Tech. Besides suspension, Race Tech does engines, and they're developing the best combination of porting, cam timing, mapping, and related components to build world-class engines. Is a painstaking process. Race Tech has spent an impressive number of hours doing R&D on the flow bench, dyno, CNC, and at the track to create the Race Tech Power Plan. If you follow the Race Tech Power Plan and assemble the engine correctly, you can build an engine capable of competing with anything in the world. I will be at Race Tech starting Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, going to a suspension seminar that Checkers has been on here over the last couple of weeks. He's kind of talked to you guys about it a few times. So if you're interested in learning about suspension, check out racetech.com. Look up the seminars. I think this one's probably already sold out, but there will be more.
I'm jealous.
Coming up. You should be.
Yeah.
Should be jealous of me in all things.
I don't know about that.
But also check out racetech.com to find your local service center.
At least by the end of this, you'll know what a clicker does and which way you're supposed to turn it.
That was going to be my thing. Is he gonna be like the least experienced guy working on suspension there?
No. Well, so the whole theory of him doing this actually came up because Checkers has asked me multiple times to do this, and I've sat through a few days. The problem I joke is I have enough suspension experience that the advanced class is really cool. The advanced class, like some of the stuff is really badass. I've done to sit through, but the basic couple days, I almost can't write a good story about it because I think if some of the info is so general, I almost space that we're even talking about, and I really don't know what to write down because to me it seems too base level. But Jamie's not the only person who is. There are people that go to this class, the school, really, the seminars that are going to try to be, that are suspension techs and want to learn more, or they want to become a suspension tech. And then there's even like some mini dads that go just because, hey, I'm taking my kid racing every weekend. I need to know what to do. I need to learn how this stuff works. It's worth $100. If you're trying to get a competitive advantage, you spend all this money on the bikes. Why not go sit through a class that actually teaches you how everything works and why it does what it does, so you know what you're adjusting. So that was my pitch to Checkers. Would Jamie do it? I think it'd make Jamie a better test rider.
Yeah.
He would be able to speak better on the product on the show, and he would be the perfect person to speak on the entry level days. He'd get a lot out of it.
I didn't realize it's entry level.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens with him because I know and this is no knock on Jamie, but I know his lack of knowledge on this stuff. Like he's never pulled suspension apart, never changed shims, never done those things.
I mean, I've looked at it, but yeah, I haven't really
but you've
had
never
my hands on
actually done it before.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be really cool to see if you come out of there like it'll be if he'll pay attention and actually do the work of the deal and learn the stuff. It's going to be probably one of the best sales pitches ever for Race Tech.
Watch out, Gilly. I'm coming.
Hey, is Brycen Neal up first or is it Romano?
Romano.
I was going to say, funny one on Neal. Actually, I don't know about Neal. So Neal's teammate at Phoenix Honda on the Yamaha, the quad side, is Joel Hetrick, who's basically like the Carmichael of freaking quads, like on the motor ATV MX side.
Yeah.
Joel's so fucking fast. Joel also rides dirt bikes, and Joel is like the gnarliest dude on the face of earth on ATV on a motocross track, and he's quite a bit better than you on a dirt bike, Jamie. You might ask Neal. He might also be better than you on a dirt bike.
He probably is. You say that like I know that was like just meant to be an insult, but like it's not because
I'm just
most
giving
people are
quad
better than
guys
me.
some props. I'm giving quad guys some props.
Joel wouldn't remember it, but I used to build his race motors when he was a kid on the Honda 90s.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before we let you go,
we're gonna have. I think I bugged him. I think we'll have Joel on probably in the next couple of weeks.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll see how this quad guy goes, and if he meets the standard of the MotoXpod show, we can get another.
Oh, yeah.
What standard?
Yeah.
Exactly. Before we let you go, we got to talk about World Supercross for a minute. Abu Dhabi.
Oh, no.
First Supercross.
World Arena Cross.
I'm air quotes here.
World Arena Cross.
First Supercross in Abu Dhabi. Kind of a cool concept. In my opinion, didn't really work. It was one of the most boring. I don't know, ML guys. I like even watching the race. I didn't care. I just didn't care. It was not great. Scotty, what are your thoughts on Abu Dhabi?
Well, I'm kind of glad to hear you say that, honestly, because I was like, I know we're going to talk about it on the show, so I need to watch it. I tried to watch it at least twice, but like it was very hard to stay focused on it. It was. Yeah. It was like you said. It was, but it was fun. I mean, it was racing, so it was cool. I mean, it was cool seeing Kenny have to do something different with like the double start. So like that was unique. But yeah, it was definitely interesting.
TJ, thoughts? I mean, without Freeze or Freezy, however you want to say it, the event was that
was pretty much it, right?
It was pointless.
Well, okay, I don't understand. Like, I haven't watched the other ones. So that's where I'm coming in. This is the first one I've watched.
Really?
And and so I'm like, because it doesn't interest me at all watching like like a B level. It seems like Supercross overseas. I mean, it's like,
man, I don't know how to feel about that, but go ahead, continue. We don't have enough time to get into all that right now.
Like, I guarantee you, I represent 90% of the people, motocross fans. Most people probably do not watch this. Like this is like a deep in the sport kind of deal to watch these things. I guarantee you, if any group message that we have, maybe one person in the group message.
Did you think it was any good?
I don't know what they were going for, but if that's what they're going for, then no.
Okay. ML, what were your thoughts on Abu Dhabi? What stood out? There were some changes. We had different announcers. We had a little bit of a format change. I mean, like they were trying some things, and I know you've talked to some of the powers that be
format's weird
at World Supercross, but yeah.
Yeah, I still think format gives work. I'm actually a fan of them going to Abu Dhabi. Me and Luce have discussed this like quite a bit. I think the biggest win for them at this point is to go to odd locations. I think, a race in Brazil, a race in Abu Dhabi, I think race in Japan, like stuff like that at this point. Indonesia, that is instant win. Like trying to compare themselves in race in France and Germany, America is tough because there's an instant comparison.
Yep.
On one hand, I would be okay with the smaller track like US Open. I do know, talk to some of the track building crew, they had a huge amount of issues with equipment. Like they basically only had one working skid steer and a Mini X that caught on fire. So they were having a very hard time building the track. Everything that got brought to them kept breaking. So very hard time building the track. So I'm bummed at what the track was, but having talked to one of the guys, literally was trying to build whoops with a shovel. I give him a pass for like making the best of a really bad situation. The racing, yeah, meh, because the track and still the split in the field's kind of weird. The Vince thing, oh my God, again. I'm actually, okay, so first off, I'm actually okay with the pass on Dean. Dean left the inside wide open.
TJ's excited because he said that before we went on air. He agrees.
Yeah. The only thing I laugh, though, is that, basically Vince was a little bit off, a little bit slower, so he's road blocking for 2 laps. and you finally pass him, and then you just get killed. So as a total situation, that sucks. You're like, great, you finally pass this dude, and all you do is get murdered for it.
Right.
But then, so Vince is saying everybody's whiny, and you just got to be aggressive. We're here racing for money, so it's okay if Vince is going to punt people. Let's punt him. Then you punt him, and he just cuts the track away. So how are you supposed to win?
Yeah.
If you follow the guy around, he cross jumps you. If you pass him, he kills you, and he's slower than you. But then if you move him, he just cuts the track anyways. And this one's so frustrating. This one's so frustrating because you probably heard this. I actually really like Vince as a person. I love talking to him when I see him. I don't know what happens when he puts a helmet on.
Yeah, he's very different.
Well, I don't get it. I don't understand. And again, I know some people are close to me, like, oh, some of the stuff he did this week was that bad. I'm like, yeah, but there's a reason why literally every rider and team lost it, because it's over 10 years of this. Tires straight, like, you don't just get a pass every year when things reset. All the past stuff he's done is added up in people's heads where they just don't want to deal with him anymore.
Well, I watched the race and I didn't notice any of the cross jumping, and I'd heard about it, because I watched the race afterwards. So it didn't stand out, and none of the block passing. I mean, that actually, I guess because of being an old school arena cross fan, that didn't bother me. Him cutting the track, he should have got penalized for that. What I'm saying, but he should not. I don't know if he did get penalized for like some of the aggressive passing back and blocking.
Just cutting the track.
Well, then, yeah, because he got 2 penalties. One was for dangerous riding, so I don't know what that was to create off of. I don't think it was from the Dean incident.
Yeah.
I know Savacci made a comment that if he didn't check up at a corner, he's pretty sure he would have died.
Yeah.
At one point during the race, but I think enough of the riders went to him and all said they had. I don't think it was more one incident with the thing. I think it's the fact that Kenny and Joey, like everybody said something like, hey, there were so many moments where I had to cover, we all be dead.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they had up dangerous riding. And then the one was for cutting the track, which that one made me giggle. And his whole thing he tried to pitch was, well, I was ahead of Joey when he bumped me off. Again, if you're going to ride as a roadblock and you're going to ride defensive and you get punted, that one just blew my mind, because I was like, okay, you're gonna punt people because they got past you and that's your way of passing them back. But then if you get punted, you're just gonna cut the track. Like, so there's no win or lose with, like, literally, what are you supposed to do? He just because he whole shot, he gets to do whatever, and that's just that one had me baffled.
They need to slip him a couple of $100 extra, because I guarantee you they got more views on this race because of him than the actual racing. So I mean, they need to on the side pay him just a show up fee.
Well,
that's true.
Well, they were billing him as like the villain, you know, like they were advertising as that. And then also that track, I mean, that's kind of the perfect scenario for Vince to Vince at. I mean, it's a tight track. He was getting a good start, and then like, wow, it gets a tight track. Well, I mean, they're gonna be some rubbing.
And I guess our one is like, I do respect Vince from the fact that he is a grassroots guy, continues to get good starts, runs with the guy, does not lay over. I think it's just, like I said, it'd be one thing if he was an aggressive block pass rider. It'd be one thing if it's like the combination added together, especially again, him saying that the guys are whining, which I get it, to his perspective, it probably is, but they're all sick of your shit. And then no matter what they did, they were fucked. If they passed you, you took them out. If they pushed you out of the way, you cut the track. So I could get why every rider was probably just like, what are we supposed to do? What do we do with him? There is no win.
Well, I did like my favorite thing about the whole event, honestly, was Paul Malin announcing.
Yes.
And here's how I feel bad. I have nothing personally against Ralph and Jeff. I am very glad they're out of the booth. I thought they were terrible at some of the other rounds they did. I'm very happy to have different announcers.
I just think Paul's one of the best, maybe even the best. Like I love Daniel Blair and I love Weege, but Paul's just so good.
I don't know what it is, but Paul can carry a race. I mean, he's had to do so much GPs by himself. And then, GL's got great isms and great insights. I think GL's somebody's willing to throw like an exact opinion of how something went down. I think, I've never thought of them as a combo, but I think for the series, it's a good one. I think the two of them doing it together, that's a good direction going forward. Really I'm good with it. It gives me at least, I got to say, if you're trying to get me to tune in, Mullen and GL gives me, like I said, I hear Ralph and Jeff, and that's almost a reason for me not to tune in because I listened to it forever. I feel like at one point they were good. At one point they were, and it's tapered off, and I'm jaded on it. Where you told me GL, Mullen are doing, I'm like, you know what? I could listen to them. That'd be interesting.
Well, before we let you go, speaking of announcers, we got to address The legend Art Ekman passed away. Rest in peace, Art Ekman. Yeah, just give me your quick thoughts on Art, and through the 90s and 2000s, he was the voice of Supercross, really.
He was, and what cracks me up is I remember being, how old was I then? Like 6-7 years old, playing like the original EA Supercrosses on Nintendo 64, and they have him as the voiceover in it. And there's just so many times I remember like doing just all of his little, like they just had all of his famous sayings in there when you would pass somebody and something, like not doing it wrong. Like, I guess it's the age thing. Like, yes, I remember a lot of his famous quotes from the racing, but it's really funny that the thing that stands out the most to me is hearing all of his famous quotes in video game, because I would just play that game for endless hours.
I never got to play that one, so I was like a young adult at that point. I was
like 98, 99 EA Supercross or something like that. Nintendo 64. Yeah, he's that's awesome.
I wore that thing out.
Yeah, I never played that ever. That's cool. Well, Emil, we're gonna let you go. Thanks for your time. Had a couple more things I was gonna ask you about, but we'll get to them. But thanks for your time, and keep us updated. We'll go to Vital MX for all the updates on Dylan Ferrandis, everything else we post. And speaking of World Supercross, we were the only media there. Lewis Phillips was there, and there is about an hour and 15-minute post-race podcast with interviews where you can get pretty much all the riders' thoughts. It's pretty universal what the thoughts were, but it's there on the Vital MX YouTube or podcast feed. Go follow it if you don't already subscribe and check it out. But thanks, Emil.
See ya.
All right, see ya. That's Michael Lindsay from Vital MX. Appreciate him coming on. I'm going to work on getting Nick Romano on. While I'm doing that, I want to give a shout out, and you guys can give your thoughts. If you're watching on YouTube, you see all the Tim Tams sitting on the table. TJ's already eaten an entire sleeve of them tonight, but that's our buddy Moose. His Peter Coward's his real name, from Australia. He hooks us up with Tim Tams all the time. He hooks me up. I'm just nice enough to pass them along.
And we steal them from him.
I was nice enough to allow you to, but what do you think? Talk about him. You were raving about him a little while ago.
It was funny. He ate a whole sleeve of them.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. You had one.
And then I ate one of them.
Yeah. So
then the chat, only the chat saw me eating them, not him eating like 5 of them.
Oh yeah, you guys are eating on air.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what his problem is over there.
Yeah, that was pressured, man. That was peer pressure.
Peer pressure. They're good. I like to refrigerate mine. That's the only way to eat them, in my opinion.
And also the chocolate bars.
Yeah.
Here in America, we don't get the real.
Oh, those are the Cadbury.
We don't get the real Cadbury.
Yeah.
That stuff is made with milk, with actual milk over there, and here it's made with sugar.
We're talking about chocolate on the Motocross podcast, but yeah,
I don't care.
I don't know. Moose hooks us up all the time, and I get packages 2 or 3 times a year, just a huge box of these Tim Tams.
I owe him a hug. I'm telling you, this is delicious.
Well, we're going to move on to our first guest of the night, which is going to be brought to you tonight by WUSA. W is your source for all things wheels. If you're looking for a complete set of wheels for your bike, we have something for every budget. If you want to use the same wheels used by Eli Tomac, Cooper Webb, Malcolm Stewart, Christian Craig, Chad Reed, and Jerry McGrath, just to name a few, we have what you need. We have the exclusive W Edge wheel set starting at $799. So visit WUSA and use promo code MotoXpod to save. Tonight, WUSA brings us from Star Racing Yamaha, Mr. Nick Romano. What's up, Nick?
What's going on, guys?
Not much. Good to hear from you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, last time you raced a professional race was 2022 at Unadilla. That's a long time, man. How are you feeling? Are you jonesing to get back out there?
Yeah, it's been a long time. Pretty quiet for me since then. Few injuries, some long healing injuries. So, unfortunately, 2023 is pretty quiet for me, but I'm all ready to go now and excited to get back racing. That's for sure.
Yeah, so you mentioned the injuries, and that's part of it, but we talk a lot on the show, and it's been being brought up a lot more in the last few years, just the mental side of the sport, and not racing at your level, but watching all your teammates and all your competitors out there racing, that has to mess with you a little bit, and I assume you want to get out probably sooner than you're ready to. You're actually physically ready to. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough. Like I said, with the whole missing, this, 2023 season, like I had a grade 3 separation in my shoulder first week of January, and then took 3 weeks off the bike. And then within a week and a half, I completely did my knee. So that was, surgery needed and 6 months off the bike. So it was definitely tough for me. And then obviously I was set to race East Coast this year. And yeah, literally when the first round started, I was posted up in the hospital getting surgery. So it was tough at first, those first few rounds, I'm not going to lie, but, you know, I kind of got over it quick, and, you know, that's what I was dealt with. So, you know, I just got to focus ahead at that point. But no, it was tough for sure. Can't argue that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So when you had that long of a break from racing, how do you have in your plans this off season to do some practice races? Is there any kind of opportunities that you're going to be able to go get some gate drops and some real race scenarios, or is it just going to have to be kind of blind when you go into it?
Yeah, a few crossed my mind for sure, but you know, from what it's looking like and what I want to do is I kind of just want to focus on myself right now, and you know, put in the reps and the laps, the practice track, and you know, just I'm you know, like, I'm a rookie. I've never raced a Supercross, so you know, I'm not gonna know what to expect for Supercross either way. So you know, I'll just be heading there kind of full blindside. Hoping to learn and stuff like that. And then, you know, going into outdoors, I've done a few. I think I did 7 in 2022 before I had that thumb injury. So, yeah, not really anything on my mind right now for racing. But yeah, for now, it's just getting to the you know, next year Supercross healthy and ready to go.
Well, you know, at Star, you kind of basically get that. So you're already riding with everybody. So I'm sure that kind of alleviates some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's definitely some chaos some days for sure.
I want to stick with the mental side of what I asked you a minute ago, just for a second. You came out of the B class in 21 with a win at Loretta's in the 250B class, and your closest competitors were guys like Gavin Towers, who hasn't really raced a professional Supercross yet, and then Bose Flug, who hasn't raced a professional Supercross, and then of course Talon Hawkins, who has for a year or two. And I wonder if that affects you at all, that like if your whole class had already been racing a year or two, you'd probably feel like you're really behind the 8 ball. But since you're still 18 years old, and you still really haven't missed anything, it feels like.
Yeah, no, it's crazy to talk about and think about for sure. Like, being that I'm only 18 and, you know, I'm not really behind the 8 ball at all. You know, like, most 18-year-olds are, you know, still amateur racing for the most part. But yeah, like that B class in 21, I went 5 or 6 at Loretta's, and yeah, like you said, I raced all those guys that are mostly still amateur, maybe, you know, some guys that are just rookies or stuff like that. And then I think the A class that year was like Levi Kitchen, and
Yeah.
I know he mopped up that year. I can't really remember too correctly, but yeah, no, it's definitely crazy to say and think about that I'm not really behind the 8 ball at all, even though you know, I could have raced all this year, but you know, that's in the past now, and we're just focusing on the future.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yes, I'm just still talking about because you're coming into the pros. There was a lot of guys you raced coming in, like B class, like LeBlanc, one of the people in the message here brought the chat room brought that up with LeBlanc. He's gone. He's done. He's quit.
Yep.
What do you think the difference is? Like, do you have people around you that are like helping you to stay focused, like family or whatever, as far as when you're dealing with injuries like this or things aren't going how you plan them?
Yeah, no, that's another tough thing too. I mean, seeing where what road Matt went down, and you know, like another good buddy of mine, Jarrett Fry, and stuff like that both had, you know, the rides of their life and what everyone kind of dreamed of having. But yeah, no, definitely having, you know, my mom and dad, they're big into helping me, and just having close friends and good family and a really good team, and a strong mental, I'd say, for myself. Like you said, you know, things really haven't gone the plan the last year and a half or whatever it's been. You know, I haven't really raced, and you know, it's definitely hard sitting on the couch, injury after injury, and watching that time kind of just go by. But yeah, no, definitely tough, like I said, but you know, everyone's got a different path, and that's just kind of what I'm dealt with. So like I said, I'm just looking ahead right now, looking to be better than I was yesterday, and you know, as long as I'm focusing on the right things, I'm confident in you know, doing great things.
How is the knee feeling? That's a big one. It takes a lot of time to come back from that and be confident and feel strong. How does it feel?
Yeah, it actually feels really good now. I dealt with some issues with it early on, and honestly, up until I got on the bike, it was kind of crazy how it happened. Like, I was dealing with some issues, like I said, and I was at the 4-month mark, and then that 5-month mark, and then that 6-month mark, and I was just like, is this thing ever gonna get better? And then
Yeah.
I was at that time where like my doctor was like, look, you're ready to ride, like it's up to you at this point. And I was like, screw it, let's start with some turn track. And then I got on the turn track, and it started getting better when I started riding. I don't know what it was, or just I was happy to be back on the bike. But yeah, no, it definitely got better. And then obviously it's been a few months since then, so definitely better and better, and it's strong as it's been yet. So there's been no problems with that so far.
Good to hear.
Yeah, it's cool to hear you say that, because in this sport it's big to be able to take a positive out of a negative situation like that. Were you able to, do you think that it's made you stronger in the long run, and that maybe, have you ever had that long of a gap in your racing before? Have you kind of been able to step back and say, oh, I saw this and this is going to help me in my career?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like 6 months off the bike with my knee injury was the longest I've ever been off a dirt bike since I started. So that was pretty crazy at first. And, I was kind of stressing a little bit at first, like, am I going to come back who I was or whatnot? But dude, after a few weeks on the bike, I was right back to where I was. And, yeah, safe to say I worked on a lot of things that I needed to do, technically and just on the bike, and just all around really, that helped me a lot. And I've been really riding the bike probably the best I ever have technically, at least I feel, and from what people around me are saying and seeing. So yeah, like I said, it's kind of took a few steps back, but then once I got back, I took even more forward. So no, I'm happy with everything so far since I've been back.
Yeah. Tell us you did something better with your time off than sit around and play video games.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I didn't even play video games. I did absolutely nothing but sit on my phone, and did a little bit of traveling once I could like walk and stuff, because I was
Fishing
on crutches for a month. But yeah, when I mean travel, I mean going to some supercrosses and outdoors. But
yeah,
no, I really didn't do much at all. So it was a pretty boring time of my life for sure.
You're supposed to take that time and go fishing and go just do fun stuff. Maybe go like.
He was Snapchatting, probably Snapchatting.
That's
chicks.
the phone. That's what exactly what he was doing.
I know for a fact he was on Snapchat one night, because I was with somebody he was Snapchatting with. And I was like, hey, yeah, we won't get into that too much, but no.
That's funny. But yeah, no, I'm from New York City, so sure. I don't know much about fishing or stuff like that. It's either all or nothing.
City boy.
So at that time, it was nothing.
Right. You mentioned a couple times just when you were talking a minute ago about working on some technical things and how you've improved on that. I want you to be more specific, because coming out of the amateurs as one of the top amateur riders, usually your competition level is 1 or 2 guys, and then everybody else, it drops off pretty significantly, and you probably feel like, oh, I'm one of the best riders on the planet. Then you get into a place like Star where you're riding with legitimately some of the best riders on the planet. You start going, oh, there's these minuscule things that I need to get better at. So what are a couple of those things that you've been working on and have improved?
Yeah, no, definitely. Just kind of reteaching myself like the basics, like balls at my feet and, right positioning with your body, your back, your elbows, your head, setting up turns. It's really just little stuff that you forget when you're, in the middle of the week racing. Just, you're going through everything so quick. So, like I said, when I first got back, I was just really taking my time and doing what I needed to do to improve my riding and racing. And, you guys know, like just watching Jet, for say, like he's been doing stuff on the dirt bike that's insane, like people really weren't even doing or thinking of. And, now everyone's starting to catch on. So, that's where the sport's technically. And, yeah, like I said, just trying to work on it myself.
And when you're at the track with Star and working on those things, how many people do you have there that are actually kind of pointing out, hey, like you should work on this? I know Jeannie Carmichael's there sometimes. Of course, you've got Swanee that helps you guys out, your mechanic, etc. Are there a couple people or a lot of people that all kind of give you some input?
Yes and no. I mean, most of it's myself.
Okay.
My dad when he's there, when he can get down, and then obviously my trainer goes to Swanepoel. And then my mechanic will say something here and there if something's looking sloppy, but for the most part, it's really just a small group of people.
Gotcha. Okay.
You said that something interesting that I thought was funny because yesterday I was out riding pit bikes and I was feeling the flow on my pit bike and I was thinking like, man, I felt like, like one of the top riders, like Jet or whatever. And I'm standing up, feet on the pegs, and I'm railing these sand corners on the pit bike. But for you, how do you, as a rider, when you see somebody doing something that is, and I'm gonna put air quotes up, different or a different style, do you like go to your trainer and be like, make me do that, or like how does that work?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it depends what it was or what it is, but most of the time if I see something, it's pretty easy for me to do or replicate. If it's something I need to work on or I can't do right away, after motos or whatever, I'll go work on it myself or with my trainer or with my dad or, something along those lines. But, yeah, I feel like I'm pretty well skilled that I can do something, pretty fast. But yeah, it all depends on what it is.
Y'all watch a video like of after y'all get through training and whatnot?
Yeah, if that needs to be done, watch some film back. But yeah, not nothing crazy for the most part.
Well, sticking with that, you mentioned a minute ago kind of watching Jet Lawrence, and I interviewed Cameron McAdoo earlier today for something, and he mentioned while he was injured, watching and kind of seeing what Jet's doing. But implementing some of the things he is doing is not as easy as just watching it. Now, you just said you can learn those things pretty quickly, but I also think that's like you have to rethink not only physically how you ride, but mentally how you ride, and like, see the track completely different, or maybe it's not that difficult.
Yeah, no, I definitely think everyone's different. Doing it's not so easy. You can't just do it right off the rip with some things, but yeah, no, Jet makes it look so easy and effortless where it's kind of like, all right, well, if he can do that, then I can do that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, just stuff like that.
I can relate to that because I was at Millville a few weeks ago for the Pulp Mix Ride Day, and I was watching Aiden Kiefer and Damon Bradshaw and RV for a minute. They were doing this there was a hump, like a braking bump at the top of the hill after the catapult, and they were jumping up to the top and over the top. And I was like, well, that looks really easy. So then I went up that hill, and that bump was so little, I don't know how they even got any air off of it, let alone
momentum.
Like, it just didn't make any sense. So, yeah, I watched it, and I could not implement it. It was impossible.
Yeah, a lot more momentum than you had going.
Oh, well, it's also talent.
Yeah.
I have none. Yeah. They have a lot.
That's funny. That's funny. That's good stuff.
Yeah, well, I was okay with RV doing it, but, watching Aiden do it so effortlessly, that kind of pissed me off. Punk ass.
Funny.
Nick, have you had the chance to ride with been on the track at the same time as Cooper? I don't know if Eli's been over there or not, but who's kind of stood out to you riding at the practice track?
Yeah, no, I have. Eli hasn't been there, but everyone but Eli. But yeah, not Coops. It's been good having him there. Dylan's gone, so he does some things differently than others that you can take and not take away. But we're all pretty close. I mean, it's hard when you're riding with everyone to kind of see what everyone's doing unless you're doing sections or something after the day. But definitely someone new like Coop who knows a lot, on and off the dirt bike and technically, and just little stuff like he's so good at jumping whoops and cutting down in the turns, as you guys know. So he's definitely good to watch, and obviously a great buddy of mine. So I can kind of pick his brain here and there if I want to. But besides that, everyone's same old, for me or to me since I've been around the Star, facility and compound for a decent amount now.
Nick, how are you as a tester when you go out on the track, and how has that developed since, over the last couple of years at Star? Can you feel the little changes? Like if they do something that you're not even aware of, do you notice it? Can you give feedback and say, this is what I need?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty, I'd like to think I'm pretty good at testing. I mean, I can tell a difference between one shot click and, one fork click or whatever, 1 mil on the fork height or stuff like that. I'm pretty picky when it comes to that, but I also think it's a good thing, for testing and feel, because I'm a big feel guy when it comes to riding and testing, where I know other guys that, you could go 6 clicks and they'd be like, yeah, that's the same, so.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I definitely have learned a lot over the years just from, I've been on the team I'm going into my 5th year, so I've seen Colt win his championship and Shane battle for his 2 back then, and Christian win his championship and Justin and even Eli on the 450 side, and even Dylan back on his 250 days. So I've seen a lot the past few years, and definitely, I kind of like to stay late, and if someone's testing or riding, go see and kind of, hear what everyone's talking about and stuff like that. So, but yeah, no, I definitely do like to think I'm a pretty good tester and stuff like that.
Yeah, that'll help you as your career progresses. Tonight, Nick Romano brought to you by WUSA. Visit WUSA.com. Use that promo code MotoXpod show.
Nick, so with all that being said, where do you feel like you fit in going into the Supercross season, and is championship? I mean, obviously championship's a goal, but is that something that you're realistically telling yourself every day that, like, hey, championship? Is that the vibe?
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. You got to kind of face reality, and being a rookie going into Supercross, like, I've raced in a stadium one time back in 2020 at A1 Futures, and that was it. So, like, I really don't know. I don't really know what it's like to ride a track with tough blocks and, stuff like that. And, learning a track on race day. It's just little stuff that adds up. But, I'm just looking to learn. And the biggest thing is just be there every weekend. If I can be there every weekend, you're more than likely going to get better and better as it goes. And, yeah, I know if I could just ride like I know how to ride and, get the starts that I know how to do and, crack that top 10 and, 2 more spots and, it's a top 5 podium or, whatever the case is, stuff like that. So, I'm just looking to have fun and do the best that I can and learn as much as I can, weekend by weekend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny to hear you guys, we've had multiple guys in your situation or rookie year, and they go and it's there to learn and they have to try to grow themselves. But it's so interesting to hear you guys say that, because your amateur career, all you've ever done is like, hey, when I show up to this track or this race, like, I have to win this race because I've got to be the fastest guy because that's where I'm at. And it's interesting to see you guys make that transition into, okay, now I have to be put my goals in one step in front of the other and be more mature and, like, just learn.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you kind of got to grow up quick in a way. Like, like you said, with amateur races, you kind of have those 4, 5, 6 big races that you go to every year. You know the track, your few guys that you're racing, and so on and so forth, where it's kind of just like from lap 1 of practice, it's wide open and stuff like that. But that doesn't really work as a pro racer. I feel like maybe it does for some, but yeah, like you said, I mean, you're showing up like an outdoor, say, I mean, you got 18, 20 factory guys that are, fast. So, yeah, it's just a different approach for sure, but it definitely makes you grow up and, yeah, just really grow up quick.
Yeah, in Supercross, I think the difference between, like, 30th fastest during qualifying and, like, the top qualifier is, like, sometimes less than a second.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy. And then, you start getting in that top 5, top 10 within, like, practice times, and then, it's a 10th here, 2 tenths there, and you got to hit this downside a little bit better, and it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned, like, the top 18 or there's 18 factory riders. Well, 8 of them, maybe more than that, even are on Star.
You're used to them.
Are your teammates? Yeah, it's crazy how many guys are on that team, especially with the addition of Enzo. It's going to be something else this season. And Scotty kind of asked you about this a minute ago, but I would think, yes, yeah, you have to think championship a little bit. That's part you want to go in. Winning is important. Podiums are important. But overall, the most important thing in my mind for you is finishing the complete season. Let's do every round, like you said, every round of nationals, and get that experience. I think that's goal number one. Even like podiums to me feel secondary right now, like experience.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, obviously, like I said, everyone has different expectations and stuff like that. But, you know, I'll have my book of goals, and, you know, wherever I end up. But I'm definitely going to have expectations for myself.
Sure.
So, yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited.
Yeah, what is, you know, doing your first full circuit in indoor racing, what is your biggest thing that excites you the most when you know you wake up and you're achieving that one goal? What is it that excites you the most about racing indoors?
Man, I feel like there's a lot of things I can say. I don't know. I mean, you know, watching opening ceremonies will be a cool experience, and you know, when the lights go on and, you know, crowds going crazy, just, I don't know, stuff like that will be cool. And, you know, if I cross that finish line first and the fire, you know, burning your neck, and I don't know, there's a lot of stuff, you know, I can go on and on, but I'll just say those for now.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing you out there, man. I think we've been waiting, you know, the fans, the media, we've been waiting to see your debut, and I can't wait. So, stay healthy. Appreciate you coming on. I'm going to wrap this thing up with a personality question for you, all right?
All right, hit me with it.
Okay. If you had to lose one of your senses, which one would you lose and why?
Huh.
Yeah.
Senses.
Common sense doesn't count as
no,
well.
common doesn't. Mine is smell. I'm going to lose smell.
I don't know. I might common sense. That's funny. I mean, I'd probably go smell. I feel like that's not really that important, is it?
I mean, I think it is in some things. Like it helps with like some memories and things like that. And it, you know, but I think overall, I'd rather have my eyesight and my hearing and touch, all that. So I think I think
it's too easy of a question.
Maybe taste, but dude, I like food way too much.
Yeah. See, you say it's too easy, TJ, but you don't care about taste.
Yeah,
you eat the shittiest, cheapest food because you care about money more than you care about taste.
That's true. I would get rid of taste.
So see, it isn't that.
He'll probably eat like 4 boxes of these Tim Tams on the way home and call it his dinner.
Nick, have you ever had a Tim Tam?
Yeah, I have.
Dude,
we have. I can't
greatest
tell you.
Listener ever.
There's probably 100 packages in my house right now, thanks to one of our listeners.
Give or take.
Feel free to send some over to me.
Well, if there's any left, I'll bring some to Anaheim.
There will
I don't
not
know if you're at Anaheim.
There will not.
Do you know what coast you're riding yet? Have they talked about that yet?
No, I have no idea.
Well, once we figure it out, we'll get you some Tim Tams. We'll bring you a package, but we won't tell Swanee.
Yeah, all right, perfect.
All right, Nick, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it. Good luck. Be safe, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on again later.
Yes, sir. Nick Romano. That was a good interview, man.
Yeah,
good. It's been a little while since we talked to him.
Yeah, I knew he was buddies with LeBlanc, and I couldn't remember if he actually raced with him. That's what I was going back into the vault to remember. But they were both in B class together, and then LeBlanc moved up his last year of B class.
Speaking of it, so is LeBlanc is he pretty much?
No, he's way done. Mitch called him last year to see if he wanted to fill in a ride, and LeBlanc
he's just over it.
Yeah, he's over. He was over it. And I interviewed him at Swan at the Pro Challenge 2. The year he quit was that 21.
That'd been 20, maybe.
Was it that long ago? That would have been COVID.
No,
year.
it'd been 21. Maybe it was 21.
I think it was going into 21, maybe, because I feel like it was at least 2 Pro Challenges ago.
Yeah.
We'll get Brycen Neal on in a minute. Yeah. So again, thanks to the Tim Tams. You got to ride this weekend.
Oh.
We both rode at Swan.
Yes,
Saturday.
I felt good.
Yeah, you were looking good. Just how'd you feel out there? You decided to finally come out and ride because you're in town, and you actually did 2. Basically 15-minute
practices. Yeah, and I felt pretty good. I knew I was gonna ride on Sunday, and I didn't want to smoke myself because I hadn't been on my big bike in a long time, and so I just kind of went out and rode the practices, and then we raced the night race in the pit bike class.
Yeah, how'd that go? Because I left.
I did. I got third. I went 3-3 for a third, and
out of 3 people.
No, I think there was 8 or 9 people.
Oh, okay.
The pit bike classes are doing pretty good right now.
Yeah.
But I had fun. And then, we got to go to Billadilla.
Yeah, which
nobody knows about this track because it's like a private, invite-only kind of place to ride. And
here in East Texas. Yeah,
the first time I went out there, which was, I guess, a year and a half ago, maybe, it was raining the day before, And the guy has lots of money, like more money than he.
Well, yeah, he donates.
All the money he makes, he donates to some.
And it's $60 to ride there.
$100.
Oh, it was $100. So it was $100.
It was $100 to ride. But the first time I went out there, it was. Yeah, no, it was raining, and he had all the jumps tarped, like white tarps covering all the jumps.
Yeah, he's got a full like track crew.
He's got a full track crew. It is, and so you can rent the track for the weekend. It's like $4,000 to rent it for the weekend.
Yeah,
and that's what some guys had rented it, and then he allowed our buddy JT to bring some buddies out. So we had 5 guys with us, and I mean, he made $500.
Place is amazing. Yeah, he donates that all to charity. But yeah, the place is amazing. It's a place I talked about it before because. Last time I was there, I almost hit a deer because I had a deer running.
Because it's high fenced.
Yeah, you've seen my GoPro, I think of it. He's like, no, there's no deer out here. And I'm like, no, dude, I'll show you the GoPro. It was a deer. I missed it by like 6 feet.
Yeah, it's all high fenced and stuff like that.
All right, we got our next guest on the line. So let's get to Guts Racing. We'll be bringing us our next guest. Andy Gregg and the Guts Racing crew have been providing the best seats and foam in the industry for years. For 2023, they've added Kawasaki to their complete seat lineup as well as the color teal to the gripper material options available. Also new for the 23 are options for your e-bikes. They have complete seats for the Talari and the Super 73 and covers for the Segway and Sur-Ron. And they have options for the Honda, KTM, and Husqvarna electric bikes. Visit gutsracing.com today. Get yourself a seat cover. Get some new foam. Tonight, Guts Racing brings us from Phoenix Racing and an X-Brand athlete, Mr. Brycen Neal. What's up, Brycen?
Hey, man. How you doing?
Doing good. You are the first quad racer to ever be invited onto the MotoXpod show.
No pressure.
Well, I definitely appreciate it, man. It's definitely cool, and we got a lot more in common than people realize, I think.
Yeah, you know, and I'll be honest, man. I'm gonna be up front. Like TJ, my co-host, is in here. He used to race quads, and we make fun of him all the time for racing quads. You know, we're moto guys. We make fun sometimes of quad riders, but dude, you're a bad dude. You're a 2-time, I believe only 2-time. I might not even have your history right. GNCC ATV XC1 champion. You're a bad dude on a 4-wheeler, man. ATV.
I appreciate it, man. It's a lot of work, you know. Just like any level of racing, trying to be the best at it. It's super hard, dude. It's a lot of work, and my situation, I'm a little bit my own mechanic, so I'm a little bit of a hybrid. So that adds to the workload as well. But you know, no complaints at all. We love this. We love this stuff.
Why are you your own mechanic? What's the reasoning behind that?
Well, in the ATV world, it's hard. You know, we don't have as much funding as, you know, the dirt bike side.
Sure.
And so much of our stuff is custom, one-off parts, so many modifications, and it's really hard to find somebody. There's only maybe a handful of people in the industry who really know everything A to Z and can build a bike perfect for a 2-hour woods race throughout the entire year. There's so much custom stuff that goes into it that more or less me and my dad, we just basically through all of our bumps and bruises over the years, we kind of put together our own system. Okay. It's gotten better and better, and shoot, dude, it's been rolling and it's been working. And we've had the options, you know, to almost have help, and, you know, but at the end of the day, we're like, we love what we do. It works well. We trust each other. Yeah, it's more work, but, you know, I know when I'm going to the starting line that the amount of work that I put into it, my bike's 100% right. And at this point in my career, I'm just going to roll with it. I'm happy with it.
It's working. And we have more questions on all that, but since we've never had you on, our listeners probably don't know a lot about you. I'd like to get just a little bit of background. Like, where'd you grow up? You mentioned your dad, so clearly he's been involved with off-road, I'm guessing. Like, how'd you get involved with off-road, and why ATVs and not dirt bikes? What brought all that on?
Well, I got into ATV racing because my dad. I started out in the dirt bike, you know, and I had the PW50, KTM 50, all that, and got to the 65 level, and my dad started racing GNCC, and I went to one with him, and dude, I was hooked. I wanted to do what my dad did. He was my hero, so he took me to the dark side, and I've been there ever since. And I kind of got started with GNCC in 2005, whenever I believe they did one of their first inaugural youth races, and man, I was able to just come up to the ranks and you know, win the schoolboy title, College A, the XC2 before the XC1. You know, the good classes on the come up. So yeah, that's the fast version, but there's been a lot of bumps and bruises over the year. I'm out of Bidwell, Ohio. southeastern right there where West Virginia, Kentucky, and Ohio kind of all come together. So,
yeah, that's cool. That's a cool story. I like that and it is with most of us. It's usually family. A lot of the times it gets you involved.
Yeah. That's my dad's my right hand man. You know,
I dig it.
So
we do a lot of stuff together.
That's awesome.
So Jamie here got to go to a couple of the cross country races, the GNCCs, and they're just filled. He shows us videos. There's a million people there, and I know how because I raced quads back in the day when it was big and it was motocross. At every race there was 4 or 5 quad classes and all that kind of stuff, and it died off. How is the scene in the cross country and the XC stuff for the quads? Is it still going strong? Is there multiple classes? How, like, you know, for amateurs up?
It's still going strong. I mean, I think we almost had one of our more record-breaking years as a whole for GNCC at the Ironman this last race of the year. It was a huge, huge event. You know, you go to Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and then down the Carolinas. There's a lot of people who race four-wheelers, and there's a lot of different local series, but none come close to GNCC. And you know, whenever we go to places like Snowshoe, and it's kind of become our red bud in a sense, and everyone's down at the mud hole partying and carrying on, waving American flags, fireworks going off, people passing out drunk. You kind of using people for traction. We got a lot of cool one-off events that pull in a lot of people, and the people really love to, you know, get up close, and, you know, they can help people get unstuck in the mud holes and point lines, kind of help people who they want. And it's cool how they can get involved like that. Yeah. So I think that's a big thing for it.
Davey Coombs told me Ironman was 2,834 unique entries between Saturday, which is the ATV side, and Sunday, which is the dirt bike side. That's insane.
That's crazy.
And it's really cool. I mean, I know Scotty, you had a question. Okay. Sorry. It's really cool. I said this on the last show when we had all the like Stu Baylor on and stuff, that when I go to these GNCCs, how family oriented it is. You talked about that, Brycen, with your dad. I'm standing in line to get food, and it was cash only at this particular place, and I didn't have enough. Like, I was $2 short, and this guy behind me was like, "Oh, I got it." He had 4 kids with him that all raced. He raced. His wife rode a little bit. It's like the whole family's involved with these things. And
are the entry fees as high as they are for moto? Jeez,
pretty much. Oh. But it's just really cool how family oriented the off-road scene is.
Yeah, you're right about that. You know, people, we got those values at heart, and we kind of still had the feeling around the pits that it's kind of one of the places left in the world where you can kind of leave all your stuff unlocked, your camper, your trailer door open all weekend long. Your kids run off like crazy, go wherever they want in the woods on a 12-mile property, which is, you know, can be 400, 500, 600 acres. And you just know that they're in good hands, and there's good people around. And you can ask anybody for help. You know, there's been races this year where I had a breakdown, and some of my ultra competitors people, they came and helped me out. And it's just, there's a lot of hospitality with it still in ATV racing and GNCC as a whole. So you can't beat the atmosphere of GNCC. It's cool.
That's a good point. I have seen, like, even on the two-wheel side, some teams, one team helping another team, or, you know, another rider or whatever. That's actually a really good point that I hadn't brought up before.
Yeah, it's like our sport has become like it used to be, you know, very technical riding in the woods, like the true blue, true roots. But today's pace is so fast that whenever you do have an issue or a problem and you lose a minute to 2 minutes, you're basically out of the chances to win a race altogether at that point. So teams are more adept to help because, you know, you might not be on the podium, but, you know, just a top 10 finish can make or break your year at the end whenever all the points tally up.
For sure. Scotty.
So first of all, do you guys, do y'all always go on Saturday, or do y'all sometimes go on Sundays?
Oh, it's always been quads on Saturday and dirt bike Sunday.
Okay. So my theory is that the majority of the time the fans are Saturday, like that's their first chance to really like crack open the beers and get the whole day going. So some might say that you guys get them at the rowdiest point of the weekend. I don't know. Sunday they got to slowly go back.
So maybe you guys might low key get the full fandom.
Dude, you're right. You're right. And it's sad sometimes, especially snowshoe. I already mentioned that one. Everyone is hung over by Sunday morning for the dirt bikes. And they call this infamous mud hole Howard's Hole, and it's where everybody goes on Saturday.
I've seen some footage of that, dude. It was like Woodstock. It's insane.
It is, dude. And we're racing through there, and basically it's like a sea of people. So you're coming down through these rocks, and they're as big as your bike, and you're picking your way through. If you get sideways, get stuck, I mean, you got like 10 hands on you all at once. But it's just a sea of people. You get down the mud hole, and you got two ways, and they kind of force you. Like whenever you walk down there on Friday, you can. There's all kinds of options, but when you get there Saturday, they force you into the worst spot, and like you can't decide. Dude, this year we had people pulling their roll offs. You getting sprayed with beer. I mean, there's fireworks, American flags, dude. It's nuts.
So
that's awesome.
So we all three did a enduro, hard enduro,
yeah,
whatever, and I can't imagine doing that with like having to pick two lines the whole time. You know what I'm talking about? Like
yeah. Well, that hard enduro we did, there's no way a quad could have made it because it was so narrow. But they have, you guys have, like, they do have more than one route in GNCC for the quads and the bikes, right? I know I saw some different color coded arrows.
Oh yeah. The dirt bikes, they throw in some single track for them. Yeah. The quads, we kind of have some special stuff thrown in for us, but the way GNCC does it, it's usually around 10 to 12 mile tracks. Mm-hmm. And what's cool about GNCC is that, especially on the quad, that you can go 25 feet off the track either way. Okay. And when you're in the woods, and you can just mow over trees, make your own lines, and kind of, figure out your own ways to pass. And then there'll be times where there'll be a mud race, and you'll come to, I don't know, a valley, a creek bottom. There'll be 50 bikes drawn out everywhere, and you basically it's a free for all, and it's just chaos, people going everywhere, getting stuck, and you just got to survive. You got to make your way through and just find a way, and it definitely makes it special.
So they have classes for like the 4x4 4-wheelers too, right?
Yes, yeah. They race at 10 a.m.
And y'all race at what time?
1. Well, it's 2 o'clock now.
So
they race at 10, us at 2.
So basically, on a mud race weekend, there are some trenches y'all got to get those 450s through.
Dude, the 4x4s, they're insane in the mud races with their big tires. They can pretty well just go wherever the heck they want. And by the time we get to it, I'm telling you, there's some holes over the years, but it swallow you, and you're there all day.
So, I'm out.
You got to be smart.
How do you get up Ironman Hill? Because that felt, to me, even on a bike, it felt scary and so narrow. I don't understand how you get up on a quad.
It comes down to momentum. The hard part is the creek and the lap riders. Sometimes when you're coming up on slower traffic and they have problems and there's chaos and they kind of bum up the good line, but. Dude, we got such good torque, and it's kind of like one of those, you've been there, you've done it so many times, where Ironman Hill is tough, but we've had a couple other hill climbs that are death-defying. They're really hard to make as well. So it just comes down to momentum, man.
Oh yeah, and balls.
Yeah,
balls.
Dude, it was kind of funny. It's kind of ironic that I saw it today, because I saw an Instagram clip of, I don't know where it was at. It might have been Ironman Hill or something like that. It was a dude riding on the quad, and he was going up this big hill, and there's people everywhere, and he just like fully sent it, and he went like 10 feet up on the top of the jump, and like he hit, like his back tires like hit the tree. The tree hadn't been there, it took out like 10 people, like he was still down at the bottom, and the bike was like up top, and like
it's crazy.
It's like I've always had a mad respect for the people in GCC, because you guys are
so fun.
It's you guys blow my mind with the stuff that y'all will go and try.
It's the randomness too that happens, because every track's different, and then if it's a complete mutter, dry, whatever, like I've been winning races and had a stick hit my radiator hose, just pop up and grab it and blow up my engine. I've had vines when I'm going downhill get wrapped around my rear axle, and I'm stuck going downhill with a vine wrapped around it. It's like the amount of stuff that can happen in a woods race, because sometimes there might be a guy broke down the main line, and you kind of got to go off on the side of the hill and kind of billy goat your way around. And that's what's so hard about enduro and GNCC is that it's always something new. You got to stay on your toes because the track's changing every lap, and the people you're racing against, like the slower riders on the track, when you come around and you're trying to pass them, they get stuck. There's a lot of factors that can happen.
Yeah. The other riders are more of a factor. They're obstacles at times. I was an obstacle, absolutely, for all the fast guys that were trying to get by me in Ironman. I'm just in everybody's way. So, yeah, it's definitely a new fact. It's a different factor than a motocross. I mean, lapped riders can get in the way, but not in the same way they do in off-road.
Yeah. It's the famous saying, how I think, is that no matter what, every year you're going to be saved by a lap rider, and then they're going to screw you. It's like,
sure.
You take some and you lose some. Like it goes both ways.
Okay, so we've established that you're way tougher than us because you're going through the woods at Mach 10.
I didn't say it was tougher.
Come on,
man.
He is.
All right, fair enough.
But tell us, at least to build us up, you're scared to jump a four-wheeler, right?
Probably not.
Like, do you ride moto much?
I love to do moto. I ain't gonna lie. That's one of my favorite.
I don't
things
like this
to
guy.
ride,
I just don't like him.
I ain't got no tracks near me. Norm Bickley at Fast Tracks. He used to help design some of the Supercross tracks back in the day, but that's the closest MX track that I have to me. So, and they don't have open practice or anything no more. So I love moto, but I ain't gonna lie. My teammate on the Phoenix ATV team under David Eller, Joe Hetrick, is a bad man on an MX bike, and a lot of the jumps they do on the circuit, dude, I'd have to speed check. I'd have to be there for a while and kind of ride around the track and have someone to eye up and let them do it first.
So we were talking a little bit about you and him at the beginning of the show
with Michael Lindsay.
Michael Lindsay, talking about how Joel also rides dirt bikes. Do you get on two wheels much?
No, honestly, I've always wanted to do it, but every time I do, I always end up, having a silly little tip over or something. And I'm like,
forgets to put his feet down.
Yeah,
exactly.
Brycen, what is training like for you? How much off the bike training do you do? How much riding do you do in between events? There's obviously a gap between the GNCC races. What's your training schedule look like?
For GNCC, it's a 2-hour race. So you got to have the cardio. And the more and more that GNCC's progressed over the years, it's turned away from a marathon into a sprint. And now it's literally 2 hours, as fast as a pace as you can hold to try to manage. And we do a lot of off the bike training. I got my trainer from Australia, Ben Greenwood, off-road performance coach. We do a lot of strength training, do a lot of cardio. Between the races where I'm my own mechanic, that's the difficult part, is that it's hard for me to ride 4 or 5 days a week, because then I'm just stuck in a continuous loop of fixing my broken stuff. So I try to go hit locals, or get at least 2 to 3 days of hour motos or something in between the races, at the least.
Okay.
So
Scotty?
Yeah, I've always the endurance of those things is the biggest part that always blew my mind. Where are you where are you at with your competition? Are you trying to just get out in front and just, when you have that free lap before you hit all the lappers, just to get as far out as you can? Or is it kind of more of, are you waiting for a certain point? What is your race strategy?
Well, if I have it my way, what I try to do is, the way that I like to try to ride my own race, if I have the opportunity to, is get a top 3 start, get to the lead as fast as possible, and drop the hammer as fast as I can, as smooth as I can, and try to break away, or try to force the guy behind me into a mistake. But a lot of times in GNCC, random things happen. You get a bad start. Other people are feeling the flow and they're rolling great. And then it comes into, you got to the pit stops, how we got it out. We all stop for gas and goggles. Sometimes people take gloves at the hour mark, basically halfway through the race. And then that becomes a whole strategy where some people try to do a 1 stop pit strategy. Other people try to do 2. And pit strategies come into play when you're racing people, and maybe you might have a line picked out that you've been following a guy in front of you for the last 2 laps, and he ain't been taking it, and you just kind of can lay back and wait to the last lap. It's very situational because in the woods racing, like I said, the track's always changing and evolving. And as the track breaks down, new opportunities kind of come up and new lines develop. And in the latter half of the race is whenever you can really make passes if you're watching.
Yeah. Because I was curious because trying to pass somebody on a 4-wheeler in the woods doesn't sound like
easy.
Like a most logical thing to happen.
No, it seems like you'd have to have a lot of room.
Yeah.
Like at Ironman, you have the cornfields where it's wide open. That seems easy to make a pass there. But in the woods, it seems very difficult. You have to have a really good race strategy, as Scotty was asking about.
It's hard because some tracks do kind of get more one-lined and the passing opportunities where we'll be running long ridges or be real rocky, real tight. But a lot of our passing opportunities come down to we've been running these properties for, Ironman, we've been there for 25 years, John Penton, like 30 years. And they have a lot of split lines developed, because on one weekend we got 2 ATV races on Saturday, 2 dirt bike races on Sunday. And that's a lot of seat time on a facility in one weekend.
Sure.
And people blow out trees, they make new lines, and then every year we come back, those lines stay, and they're kind of there. So the split lines is where you really have your opportunity in the woods. Or sometimes we'll walk the track on Friday, and we'll kind of eye up some brush, and, by the eye of it, it looks hairy as hell. But if you walk through it, you're like, oh, there's no stumps in here. It looks like I can make it happen. I can get through here. and you just bulldoze your way through and make your own way.
Crap.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So that's us during practice where we're like, no one's going over here. Let's make a rut that I can use during a race. He's going, there's a bush here that I can mow over with my 4-wheeler.
But he's also doing that in a 13-mile loop. I couldn't remember a 13-mile motocross
You
track.
forget to hit the wrong bush.
Yeah.
I like that bush.
Brycen, I got a couple more questions for you. Your competition level, I didn't do enough research, I'll be honest, to see how dominant you are. And how deep the class is. We had Liam Draper on last week, and we talked to Rachel Archer and Stu. And I know in the XC1 on the motorcycle side, I think the first 7 rounds there were 7 winners. What's it like on the quad side, the ATV side?
Well, I'm in a unique spot where championship wise, for whatever reason on the ATV side, there's always been a guy who's dominating for a long time. It started with Barry Hawk. He won the championship 7 times, and Bill Balance won it 9 times, and then Chris Ford 6, then Walker Fowler before me 7. And then I had the biggest pressure on me because I got my first. I'm like, I don't want to be the first guy to, not back this up.
Sure.
And kind of let down a long list of legends. So this year was really hard work, on myself because I wanted to try to back it up. But that's kind of unique there. But there's a lot of competition. It don't matter what you're doing. If you're drag racing lawnmowers there's 3 people there no matter what who's going to show up to win, and they're tough. So Walker's 7-time champ. He's got a lot of wins. Hunter Hart and Cole Richardson. There's a few people who really got this stuff, and they're fast.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool to hear all this and kind of learn from it. Excuse me. The other thing I want to ask you about, you mentioned Snowshoe a couple times, and I have not been there, but I was told that's the one I do not want to go to. Really, a lot of rocks.
To watch would be awesome.
Really slow. And I was kind of curious. I did do Wild Boar this year. That one sucked too because I was not prepared for 13 miles of sand whoops, basically. So I kind of want to know what you like. What type of terrain, what course is your favorite?
Me, I'm a little bit different than a lot of ATV guys. Is I like it when the track is the fastest and the roughest it can be. Like Wild Boar is stupid rough. It's sand whoops for basically 2 hours. You just lean back, just hitting sand whoops the whole time. I like tracks like that. And Ironman, The one at Big Buck, the track gets really rough there. I like tracks when they get real racy and pretty fast when you're up in the gearbox, third or fourth gear in the woods. And it's got a lot of flow with a lot of chop. My bike works really good in that stuff. The races that becomes like the survival mud races and snowshoe, that's when it's kind of call it the great equalizer, obviously in the mud, but it gets really hard because literally anybody, even the people in the XC2 class behind you can win an overall on adjusted time in a mud race.
Oh, interesting.
That's when it gets real hairy, real quick.
Yeah. It's very interesting. The other question I have for you is a lot of the two-wheeled guys race like some of the other series, whether it be Hare and Hound or a couple of the Enduro series. Do you do any other series that you get involved with, or you pretty much stick with GNCC? And also on top of that, are there any events that you would like to do in the future that you haven't had a chance to do?
I'll start off by saying my favorite race to do that's not GNCC is this one in France. It's a 12-hour race. Ugh. And it's called Pont de Vue, but we have two other teammates, and it's literally like a TT track. You're on a motocross with ATV and one bike, and it's got to last 12 hours. And we've been close to winning it in years past. Our best finish was third, which is really cool, but that's a very cool, one-off race. But I usually go to Wexer and IXCR. Those are my two favorites because they're kind of real local to me. IXCR is a very good series. In Indiana, the amount of woods racers they have on dirt bikes and quads, they're like the Hatfields and McCoys. There's like four series there, and they all are competing against one another, and they all think that they're the best. But if all four of them came together, I'm telling you, they'd be one hell of a series. They'd almost be close to GNCC pulling numbers if they could just put aside their differences. But I like Indiana a lot. It's got great dirt, the soil, the hill climbs. It's the flow of the woods. That's probably my favorite place to race, I'd say.
Awesome. Brycen Neal tonight, brought to you by Guts Racing. Got one more for him, Scott, here? Yeah,
we had a listener question. Our listeners like to get to the brass tacks, and they wanted to wanted to know what kind of bonuses you get if your championship wins and stuff like that. You don't have to do specific
you don't
numbers.
have to answer that if you don't want to.
We went down to the penny. We know exactly how much money you're making.
Well, I won't say specifically how much, but you definitely get money for championship bonus. But also, I have some with other sponsors who, kind of don't offer contingency or cash, where I can get products. I can get an extra axle or an extra one of these or something if they don't ever off, because there's sponsors we have in the ATV side that they never pay money. So I might get an extra steering stabilizer, an extra this or that, try to at least with a championship. Helps. Like if I go out and I get the result, I do the work, then I don't know. It's kind of unique deal where they're happy to do that.
It's kind of cool. It's almost like old school, like motocross video game. Like you win a couple races and then you unlock. What do you
want to buy with your winning? Yeah.
Yeah, you unlock the next level of chassis.
Sure.
That's
a good one, Scott. Right. I like that.
He gets power ups.
Yeah, power ups. Yeah, exactly.
Is all you had, Scotty?
Were you going to ask the?
Go ahead.
There was another question about your. I think we kind of talked about your training program a little bit, but are you guys like doing like cycling or like two-wheeled stuff or for that, or mountain biking stuff like that, or what do you do for that kind of training?
Me, I kind of get bored whenever I do the same thing repetitive over and over and over again. So I'll go through phases where I will cycle. I'll mountain bike. I'll do the row machine. Sometimes I'll run. But a variation, I kind of always try to keep it fresh, and because the hardest thing is our year is so long, just like everyone else who races motocross. It's so hard to stay healthy and stay in a certain type of shape year round, and it kind of gets stagnant sometimes. So I try to keep it fresh. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember I was in my early 30s and beat up from racing four-wheelers, and one day I was looking at my wife and I was like, I can probably race quads for another 4 or 5 years, and then I won't be able to walk. Or I could switch over to riding dirt bikes and probably ride the rest of my life because they just don't beat you up as bad. What is the average age of some of like the top pros in racing the quads right now?
I would say that, like, would be the right answer be like, what's the prime? Like,
yeah, the prime, when does it get just too hard on your body to continue?
The prime is anywhere from as soon as you're 18, obviously, to I want to say 30, 31, 32.
Yeah.
But Chad Wienen is the one anomaly. He's the 7-time champ who races against Joel. I think he was 36, 37 whenever he won his last championship, and he's 38 or 39 now, and he's still, winning races and competitive there every weekend. So I'm telling you, I mean, look at Tom Brady, look at LeBron James, the athletes today, the knowledge that we know. It just seems like the stuff we thought a decade ago that people would be done at 30, now they're hanging on till 35. It's becoming a new game almost, I think, where we're at right now.
Reinvigorating us. I like it. We'll start wrapping this thing. Did you have anything else, Scotty? Was that? I got one more, and then we'll let him go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I have a personality question that I sent you, but first I mentioned at the beginning of this thing, Brycen, you're an X-Brand athlete. X-Brand's a sponsor of the show. Rich Taylor and I were texting when I left Ironman because Josh Strang won, and he had a couple other winners that day, and then you won 2 championships for him. But X-Brand is very heavily used in the GNCC, and I'm an X-Brand rep here in Texas, so I just what is it about X-Brand that you like? And why do they work for you?
My number one thing is just relationship. Yep. Rich is so easy to work with. That guy is amazing. Anytime I've ever called him, I've ever reached out to him, needed anything, me as a rider, especially kind of being on the ATV side. I started working with him in 2016, and at that point, I think I was his only ATV guy at all. So I was like the redheaded stepchild, and he took great care of me. And he's just super nice, super caring, top-notch guy. And I would say loyalty is the number one thing for me with X-Brand. But the other thing, of course, is the goggles that they have. The zip-off system they offer with the big durable roll-off packs, how big they are. Like in a GNCC race on a weekend, mud, dust, whatever we're going through, I know that my goggles are not going to fail me, and I haven't had a failure in my goggles in a few years, knock on wood. So, it's top-notch products. The no sweat foam, everything about them is really nice. They last for the GNCCs. And for me, I don't always roll brand new week in, week out. And the cool thing for me is that I get a really good life cycle out of the goggles as well. They last and they hold up, and they're really durable.
I agree, guys. So go to your local dealership, ask for X-Brand, distribute it through WPS, or visit xbrand.com. Get you some of the new Lucids. They're such an easy lens changing system, and they are fantastic goggles. It's all I wear. TJ, you're wearing them. I don't know if I've got you in them yet.
Scotty doesn't ride anymore.
Scotty hasn't rode in a year, so it doesn't really matter.
Scotty doesn't know.
Yeah.
Scotty doesn't know. I forgot about that movie. That's a good one. Yeah, true.
Oh, I've heard it my whole life, dude. I've never let it down.
Well, Brycen, man, it's been a pleasure to have you on as our first quad rider. I think we are going to get your teammate on pretty soon. We're going to reach out and get Joel on. Like I said, my boss at Vital, Michael Lindsay, knows him, and he's been at Phoenix all last week. So with the Dylan Ferrandis stuff going on, so yeah, we're gonna try to get Joel on. So, but you were the first, man. You popped the cherry.
Well, I definitely appreciate you guys having me on, man. I had a blast, and hopefully some people got to laugh at some of the stuff we talked about in the quad guys today.
Absolutely, dude. I'm blown away by what you got. All the GNCC riders. I have fallen in love with that series. Getting the chance to do a few of them now. I've done 3 total, and you guys don't get enough credit for how good you guys are.
We appreciate it. We just love racing at the end of the day, dude, and there ain't nothing like it.
That's it, man. Well, Brycen, good luck with your off season, and we'll definitely get you on again next year once the season starts back off.
All right, man. Hey, you guys too. Have a good Thanksgiving, Christmas, and talk to you soon.
You too, buddy. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Right. That's Brycen Neal, brought to you by Guts Racing. That was fun, man.
Yeah, I like when we get different things on and have different perspective.
I can't mute every time I'm coughing.
Just keep bringing it up. That helps. But no, whenever we get to have new,
I feel like I'm dying.
whenever we have new guys on like that,
Yeah.
it's a different perspective, different things.
Yeah.
I kind of like having the GNCC guys on. Honestly, we have to start doing.
We're
that
gonna.
more
Yeah,
often.
I picked up a lot of their phone numbers at the last race. Not obviously the quad guys as much, but a lot of the two-wheel guys. So what are you laughing at over there?
Well, first off, our listeners are amazing. But anyways, cherry side popper. Anyways, sorry for the listeners that aren't on. If you're not watching live and joining in the chat, then you're missing out. These guys are awesome. Anyways, I just wish. Okay, trail riding is so much fun.
Yeah.
Like you can go out and you can ride trails, just have a blast.
Sure.
But it's just not fun to race.
Really? Well, you've only done. Well, I know you did more than one.
I've done quite a few, and it's just.
See, I thought it was fun to race, but I also do the race as if I'm just trail riding. Like I'm not.
Yeah, well, but me, the fun part of racing is when the gate drops and you all pile into the first corner that you're pushing around, elbows out. You got somebody in front of you that you're chasing, or you're trying to.
Yeah, that's kind of how racing works.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do that in the cross country. Okay, how many people did you? Well, you didn't even ride, but like half a lap. Anyways,
What I did a whole stage.
okay, but I'm just saying, like when you're out there in the woods and you're racing and you're away from everybody, you don't know where you are. You don't know that the guys coming behind you are in your class or not.
They'll let you know.
But they don't, and you don't know. It's just the racing part. I love trail riding. I mean, I go out all the time to ride trails.
I mean, I see what you're saying. For me, when I was doing these GNCC races, it's like if there's, I know when somebody's coming behind me and they're clearly faster, so I just let them go. But it doesn't really matter to me what class they're in, or if I'm coming up on somebody else. I'm just racing the course, and then if I see somebody, I'm gonna try to catch that guy. So I mean, I'm still finding myself.
The guys that are lapping you are at a way different pace.
Well, it's not even being lapped. They're
they
just
started behind you.
yeah, because they're in different class, but they're clearly faster than.
But it could be in your class, and you don't know, and you just
Well,
let somebody
in
by.
GNCC, you do know because they give you a big square sticker on the back, and it's color coded.
And so after he passes you, you're like, "Oh, damn it, that's my class."
Well, I mean, if the guy's coming that much faster than you, like most of the guys are way faster, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, what's the point?
Yeah,
Or,
I don't know.
Or
I
you catch somebody, but I do see what you're saying. It's a different type of
Genuinely?
genuinely
unless
love.
you're Steve Mathis and you say genuinely.
I genuinely love riding trails. We go
Yeah,
all
it's a
the
lot of
time.
fun.
But racing cross country is just boring.
You don't really like racing at all anymore.
I love racing.
Okay, never mind.
What do you? Scotty doesn't know.
Yeah, I
Is that
don't.
what
I
it is?
don't.
What movie is that from?
Yeah, I've never heard that movie.
Euro Trip. That might be too old for it.
no, I remember. I remember.
I've seen
I remember
it,
Euro
like,
Trip.
in-
He sings-
I've seen it at Blockbuster.
Yeah, it's
But I've never watched
there's
it.
a song in it where
It's a National Lampoon's movie, right?
I
I
don't
think it's National Lampoon. Maybe not.
I don't think it is. It's
Oh,
kind of
okay.
like that though. But there's a song in it where the song's called Scotty Doesn't Know, and he's talking about how this guy's sleeping with Scotty's girlfriend, and like
Oh,
she's on her knees, and yeah,
Scotty doesn't know.
Scotty doesn't
That's
know.
funny.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I dig it. Guys, MotoXpodShow@gmail.com. That's our email if you want to give us any comments, questions, critique. If you want to get involved with the Pro X highs and lows, the 6D picks once we get back into racing, any of that kind of stuff. If you want to let us know anything, MotoXpodShow@gmail.com. And what we're going to do, we're going to do a little contest tonight. We're going to do an FXR casual giveaway. That's a hat and a T-shirt. So if you want to win the FXR hat and T-shirt, send us an email. Tell us your favorite. Well, you know what? Tell us what you would do for a package of these Tim Tams, and I'll throw those in also. We'll give you one package of Tim Tams.
You know,
It's coming out of these two guys' stash, but I want to know what you do for a package of Tim Tams. We'll pick the funniest or best.
It's gonna get weird.
I hope it does, and we'll pick the best one. We'll read it on air, and then you'll also get an FXR.
Wait till you see my
casual.
email.
Yeah, well, I know your Quad God email and your Racing for the Sun email, so
Quad God.
Quad
Oh my
God.
That's not what it is, but go ahead.
It was something like that, though, wasn't it?
There is Super Quad Guy.
Super Quad Guy. How do we know you're a nerd?
Yeah. Oh,
Well, at
man,
least I
that's
didn't give
Well,
myself my own.
My email's not any better, Dark Side MX.
funny. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, when I was like in
MotoXpod
seventh
show
grade, I
Gmail.
was Dirt Man. Dirt Man.
When you were doing what?
When I was like a kid, it was like Dirt Man or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, what I thought would be cool to see on the like on a giveaway question kind of like that.
Yeah.
Would it do it be to the guys to kind of say like what was their favorite guest that we've had, or a favorite moment that they could think of, or like something that we've talked about on the show that they thought was, I don't know, like maybe like a favorite moment of the show.
Well, let's save that.
I'm just thinking.
That's a good one. We'll save that for the next giveaway. We have other epics. Yep, I like that one. Hey, Scotty finally had one good thing.
I've been doing all right tonight. It's been an okay night. Let's
and I think so far I've gotten through all the reads without flubbing.
Well, I've been watching and waiting, but now you said it.
Now I'm screwed, but that's okay.
It's kind of like when Jordan had the flu in Game 6, like he
still crushed it.
Yeah, because he was sick, so he had to focus on just the game. So you're sick, so you're just like, you can't think about messing up the reads.
Right. Well, we're about to find out
because we're talking about baseball.
I was talking about golf.
FXR is designed by racers for racers with industry-leading fit, finish, and performance progression in the... See, I can't breathe.
What are you doing?
I have a big old snot wad in my nose right now, and it's like trying to come out.
And it says snot wad in the middle of the...
Yeah, that was part of the read. FXR is designed by racers for racers with industry-leading fit, finish, and performance. Progression is the name of the game with every new piece created. At FXR, we push our brand to the next level to provide you with the best products possible. Visit FXRRacing.com to see the numerous gear lines, including the 24 set gear lines are out. Go to your local dealership. Ask for FXR. Why are you laughing? Because I went off script.
So close.
I went off script. FXR emails. This one is, what's one technique that you guys need to focus on or improve on? When I read this, I laughed. I thought the technique I need to focus on is riding a dirt bike.
Me is like... If we're honestly answering it, I need to figure out what I'm really good at charging into corners, but then once I get in the corner, I just totally screw up exiting the corner.
Corners would be my number one.
Yeah, I know. I have
corner speed, entry speed,
but it's the coming out. Like when we rode this last weekend.
Yeah.
Behind you, I mean, because you're on a 450, you just like coasted through the corner and then just sat down and hit that step up no problem. I just couldn't get the confidence coming out of the corner to get the drive to do that double.
Sure.
And I
was cruising a little bit, waiting to ride with you, but my corner speed still sucks. No, I mean
he was way faster, but no, I'm just saying not being on a 450, you have to know. Yeah.
Mine is, besides tightening my drain bolt, mine would be I'll say one thing that I worked on that I think was the biggest improvement that I ever. Just working on one single thing changed how I rode and how much faster I got was standing later into corners and like not sitting until I'm in the rut. That was like a big deal, big breaking point for me. And I started feeling myself where I could feel the tires braking more. I could feel my momentum in the corners by just carrying, not stopping and then getting to the corner by like sitting into the corner. But I think the biggest thing that I have to work on is gripping with my legs all the time. When I start getting like over jumps or over like a rhythm section kind of situation, I kind of my knees kind of start going all over the place.
See, all those are me. I'm sitting here going, okay, my corner speed is really bad. My entry speed is really bad. I don't keep my fingers on the levers properly. I don't squeeze with my knees. What else do I not do? I slam the rear brake a lot of times. Like I have just awful technique. So there's so many, I don't even know where to begin half the time. The squeezing with the legs thing drives me crazy, and maybe it's because I'm tall, but my knees are like 8 inches above the tank, so I'm like squeezing with my calves.
But that's what you're supposed. You're supposed to dig your heels in, and the whole side of your foot.
I wish they would say that instead of squeeze with your legs. No, it's like squeeze with your feet. Because that's really the only thing I'm making contact with.
Because when I'm on the pit bike, I practice that a lot, so it keeps me doing it naturally on the big bike. And my knees are almost touching on the 50s because the seat's so low.
Sure. All right, let's do the X-Brand forum check-in. X-Brand, we just mentioned, with Brycen Neal, many others, has quietly grown in one of the premier goggle choices available, using some of the most grueling conditions by the 2022 and now 23 GNCC XC champion. Well, this is actually Lyndon Snodgrass, sorry. And then Brycen Neal, as well as Josh Strang, Grant Baylor, Craig DeLong, many others. And there's some Supercross riders that are like Hunter Lawrence is in them with the Alpine Star branding.
I can't believe that nobody says don't say that. I'm just surprised.
Hasn't been said yet. I
say what?
I mean, even well, never mind. I want to say.
Yep.
So, and they're also the same goggles used by the Muck-Off FXR Club MX team, the factory ride FXR goggles are Lucids. So if you want the best goggles in the business at some of the best prices, go to your local dealership and ask for X-Brand, distributed through WPS. The X-Brand forum check-in, after I wipe my nose.
I can't say about the X-Brands that the pair that I wear all the time when I ride in pit bikes are the same pair for like 2 years. I haven't had to change the lenses. I don't run tear-offs on them. They get branches and sticks hitting them and rocks from constantly running through the woods. And the lenses never scratch. I mean, like they're.
Well, I'm not going to go that far. I mean, my lenses get scratched, but
I'm saying, like
yeah.
I'm wearing the same pair of goggles with the same lenses for 2 years with never running tear-offs on them. Is pretty good.
That's really good. The X-Brand forum check-in this week is one that Michael Lindsay posted, and it's Jet Reynolds to Club MX. It's official. So Jet Reynolds has signed with Club MX, and that's such a weird story with Jet. You know, Jet going from one of the most dominant amateur riders of all time. I think he's won 9 Loretta's championships, and it just didn't work out. Injuries. His debut at Indianapolis 2 years ago was he crashed on press day and never got to race a pro race in Supercross. And, you know, he did a couple outdoor races, but it just never really showed what was expected. And I wonder about this move to Club. It's a good team, but when you go from one of the best teams to a second level team or whatever, and you never really showed what you have, like, can you get back to that? Like,
I think it depends on how much pressure. Like the other teams, he is like, I'm hired here because they want me to win. I got to. But if he goes to Club going, okay, like, and they are smart about it, and they're like, let's give this kid a reset. You know what I mean? Like you have what it takes. If they, you know. And maybe it's what he needs. As an amateur, I'm sure he went to the line every time with the best bike, with the best setup, with the best mechanic, with the best of everything. So I'm not saying that made him faster, but the confidence that he went down there, he's already beat all those kids his whole life. He knew he could beat them, and then turns pro, gets injured, has some issues, and then the confidence goes downhill. I mean, I think that's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, and I think there was a big lack of confidence on his part. I feel like he said that in the past. So, Scotty, what are your thoughts, man?
My question is when is the last person that was a straight, just dominant amateur hasn't had a story kind of like what Jets has? I mean, honestly, like Jet Ryder's kind of in the middle of that. I mean, you can say Hayden, but Hayden really, I mean, he only did a couple of events in A class, and he didn't win all of them. He didn't like dominate in them.
And he wasn't dominating on mini bikes. Daxton was.
Yeah. So it's it's kind of a thing now where those guys that are like that they have all of this expectation. It's been a while since that's been the dude. So hopefully it's kind of a reset for him, and he can kind of like okay, like you said, take the pressure off. Let's start over. You kind of have to get demoted in order to get promoted again. So I think maybe it'll be a building block for him. I hope so. He can kind of reset and start over. So
I hope so. And ML's store here says that he actually asked for a 1-year deal basically because he wants to be motivated to challenge. So yeah, I'm looking. I think
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. He just really hasn't had any time racing in the last few years.
It just seems like always something happens when he's off. Or
and it's all the responses that I've read from the other forum members are like, "Hey, good, perfect spot for him. Great to see this." Like I don't really see any negativity. One guy said, "I hope he punts." This 441 says, "I hope he punts Lopes."
Yeah.
Okay. Stoked for it. If Lopes leaving was Reynolds' way of getting onto this team, then I'm all for it. Was hoping that doesn't hang it up. So
what's with all the Enzo hate right now?
Is there some?
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
It just kind of seems like didn't sound very positive. What you were
that
reading.
One guy was said, but I hadn't heard any others.
In our group, in the chat, I've seen it. I've heard it online. People upset that they feel like he screwed over Club because
There's more to the story. Let me just say that.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he didn't.
But,
I mean, well,
wouldn't anybody though? I hate saying it that way, but if you have a choice of riding for a B team or the best bike in the pits.
I mean, what's your definition of screwed him over? Yes, he was under contract.
No, I don't think he screwed him over. I'm saying, would you leave?
You're saying that other people are saying that, right?
But I'm saying, wouldn't you leave for the best bike?
Yeah, I think if you have an opportunity to go to the best, what you consider to be the best team or the best bike, then yeah, you would want to do that. You want to do what's best for your career. He did have the opportunity, and there was a clause in the contract that allowed him to get out of it, so he went with it. I mean, I
don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah,
man.
it's like there's no screwing over that. It's kind of surprising that clause was in there.
Is there, and you may not know this, or is there scuttlebutt about did he take more money, less money, same money? Was there like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think ML would know those details, and probably Lewis would know those details. I don't have the contract details, but
I'm just curious if you had heard.
Yeah.
Is he getting? Is it like I'm taking less money to get this bike, or it's the same money but the bike's better?
Sure. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but. I'm glad for Jet Reynolds. I'm glad he hasn't hung it up because like 2 years ago I heard he was considering like being done, and he probably was, probably in the back of his head like, man, this isn't working, and you're mentally frustrated. So kind of like LeBlanc we talked about earlier. So I'm glad he's still around. I hope it works out. Okay, we're gonna get to the Motul TJ's tech tip this week. You got one ready to go?
Oh yeah.
All right. Motul founded in 1853. It's a 170-year-old company. For decades, Motul has developed high-performance synthetic ester-based lubricants by selecting esters over high-performance synthetic-based stocks and combining them with an innovative additive package. Motul has created a perfect synergy. This most advanced ester core technology allows the maximum power output of the engine without compromising reliability and wear. You can find Motul at Motul Power Sports, or the whole Motul Power Sports product lineup at shopmotul.com or your local dealership. But if you go to shopmotul.com, you can use the promo code VITAL20 to receive 20% off. I got to double check that code because it wasn't working the other day, and I think it might have changed. I will look that up in a second while you're talking about your tech tip.
So this last weekend, I was sitting around the track. People are talking about what do you like air pressure and stuff like that in their tires. And I was out on my little e-bike, and I'm not used to running 19-inch tires, right? Because we don't never do that, so I don't know what air pressure to run. And it reminded me on how to check that when you're out riding. When you're out riding, if you will look at the side of your rim where it meets the tire, you can see how much of the dust gets rubbed off by the tire. If you have more than like a quarter of an inch of clean spot around the rim, then your tire pressure is probably too low. A harder packed track, you can it will what's the word I'm looking for? A harder packed track will roll the tire more. So if you say you drop it down to like 11 psi, but you notice that you have like a half inch of clean around the rim, then you're going to get a potential flat. And not only that, your bike is not going to track as well. So it's just a way to check how much pressure you're running and what that effect is on your riding. And take notes. Always take notes.
So you wouldn't ever want to see a clean spot.
No, you want like a quarter inch at the most of clean. You want that tire to roll under the rim, like that bit. To be able to, because that flattens your contact patch out. But you don't want it to go too much. So what you're looking for is you want to drop that pressure down until it goes too far, and then okay, on this type of terrain, I run this pressure.
Okay.
The new, damn it, fuck. The new code for Motul is Vital MX. It is not case sensitive from what I was told. Vital MX. All right, 6D. Let's do a 6D read. We don't have 6D picks this week, but since its inception almost 12 years ago, 6D Helmets has been dedicated to the relentless pursuit of brain protection. From the original ATR-1 to its successor, the ATR-2, the goal was to develop a revolutionary design concept utilizing creative, forward-thinking technology that would change the market and improve the safety capabilities of the sports helmets. The helmet is the most important piece of protective equipment you will purchase, so visit 60helmets.com or go to your local dealership. Try them on. They are amazing. Let's do what's up?
But two guys at the same time, like just a back-to-back cough side.
Yeah, man.
Someone called you mute side. That one made me good.
Well, you know what? To our YouTube listeners, you can F off.
No, don't do that.
You know what? I tell you what. We're just going to end the show right now. We're done. See you later. Bye. If you don't like it.
That makes me happy. Just
what makes it even funnier is that he doesn't see most of the stuff on the chat.
He's not allowed to see the chat during the show.
Yeah, I don't really.
He's not allowed to.
I don't care what they say about me.
You do.
I really
It's just
don't.
good time. You're just missing on good times.
You just think you're cool now. You used to care so much. Man, these people, like, every time I do something or I call in to Pulp or this, those people that bad mouthing me. You used to say that stuff all the time.
I mean, I would, yeah, but I don't remember ever being bothered by it.
You were
there was a
bothered
couple
by it.
times I got mad at
Look
like
at his
one
face.
person
You
in
could see it.
particular. I got
Well, I
mad
don't know
at-
why there's so much hate. You know, I don't know why everybody's hating on me.
Are we talking about Scotty?
No, we're talking about you.
Scotty cries.
Well, yeah, that's Scotty cried, but that's because we're hating on him.
Oh.
But don't try to deflect it to him. And we're talking
Y'all,
about you.
y'all
No, I'm
cry just
good.
as much as I do.
I'm good. Prox, rooted in racing from motocross to off-road, supporting teams like Pro Circuit Kawasaki and Pro Yamaha and SLR Honda. Prox has been dedicated to supplying quality components since 1975. From complex jobs like an engine rebuild, Scotty, to simple maintenance like filters, chains, and sprockets, Prox aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. So find Prox at your local dealer or online retailer and visit prox-usa.com to search for parts for your bike and follow them on all social media platforms. Prox highs and lows. You guys got any? I got my low Art Ekman.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Vince Freeze.
That dude was
as a
my
whole?
childhood.
Yeah. And my highs, I actually didn't even write a high down this week. No highs this week. I'm just saying no highs.
I got to ride this weekend.
Well, yeah, I rode Saturday, but at this point, like I
He just rides so much.
I was about to say I ride so much. It's like, yeah, it's whatever.
Swan was good.
It was good. I told you it's good, right? Dirt was good.
The new layout is really good.
Well, that's
and
fun.
Oh yeah, y'all,
They had a
weren't
reindeer?
there. So at night, the night races, they cut the laps down this year to 4 laps.
Oh God,
and
this is embarrassing.
It's so short, so short. So the track owner was riding by on his mule, and I run out there and flag him down. And I walk up to him, and I put my hands together like I'm pleading. I drop down on my knees, and I'm like, please, 5 laps. I was like, 4 laps is not enough to time on the track for 30.
TJ literally got on his knees to get
him,
an extra 15 seconds of riding.
I'm telling you, it was, and it made a difference.
They used to do like
5 laps.
It used to be like 6.
It's always been 5 laps, but then the last year that the old owners had it, they went down to 4, and then the new owners just carried that on. So, anyways, I was so
yeah,
glad.
because I've noticed that the night races are it's like now it'll be different because they probably won't do them because
we're done. It's the last round.
Yeah, so now it's times changed, but like it wouldn't even be dark, and you're already almost on there's like 5 races that actually in the dark time.
Huh.
You remember back in the day, you'd go to like do the full moon series, and you would leave the track at like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, you'd like race all
I
night.
enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was nice. It was actually night racing.
Is that it? Did you get both your highs and lows, or your high was riding, but did you have a low? TJ,
Just everybody being mad at Vince.
that's your low. Okay, Scotty, highs,
Wait,
lows.
wasn't he mad at Vince?
No, he thought Vince was fine.
Oh,
Cutting the track was a little like that's not cool.
yeah, that was. I guess highs would be that that there was racing again, and that we got to see something different. And I guess the low. Maybe I don't really have any lows this weekend. It was a good weekend.
Well, I didn't have a high. You didn't have a low.
Yeah, looks like I look at the.
Ooh, I have a high.
Y'all are just half.
I got one.
It. All right, what is it?
I drove to Dallas this weekend on my date and went to my favorite restaurant.
Was that date high?
The day was fine.
Was she high?
I don't think so. No, but the steak was by far. This is the place I ate at when I went to the office. I talked about it on here. How this was the best steak I ever had.
Where's it at?
Bentonville, so almost in Fort Worth, just a little bit north of Fort Worth. It's a place called Marty B's.
Okay.
And yeah, the unbelievable steak. I have never had a steak that good in my life. I was kind of worried I had it hyped up too much. I did not. It was just.
Did she concur?
Yes, she did. She did. I was like, I hope I didn't build this up too much. And as soon as she bit in, she was like, holy shit. Yeah. So she said it was the best steak she had ever had too. So that's going to be my high. It was a little pricey, but
Yeah.
but honestly, it was worth it. I mean,
But the drive and everything.
yeah, it was literally I
$300.
drove 5 hours round trip for this steak.
I guess
$300
my high should have been it was my birthday this weekend.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Yesterday actually.
Wow, aren't we dicks?
Yeah.
And how old are you?
No, wait, no, I'm not allowed to ask
How old
that.
are you, Scotty? Anybody know how old Scotty is?
I guess that could be my low that I'm in my middle 30s now.
Oh no.
And balding.
Yeah, that's true.
Poor
It's
guy.
sad.
It's over, man.
I'm about to be 45, so don't feel bad.
Yeah,
Are you balding?
pretty much. Yeah,
Oh, that sucks.
Who's this there?
receding hairline for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
All right, guys. I think that's going to be a wrap on this episode 291. Thanks to Nick Romano and Brycen Neal for coming on. I want to thank Racetech and Boyesen for being presenting sponsors. I want to thank Prox, X-Brand, Guts, FXR, 6D, Motul, and WSA for being on board with us. I'm not sure. No show next week. Can't really tell you the schedule for December yet. We'll do a couple for sure. Anything before we wrap this thing up?
Nope.
Are we gonna do is like Vital gonna do like a Supercross deal, and are you gonna be a part of it?
I don't know. I would almost guarantee you ML and Lewis will. 3 people like doing something like that's kind of a lot sometimes, but I don't know. I hadn't talked about it. That I guarantee you Lewis and Michael will. They're a lot better at that stuff, I think, than I am, in my opinion.
Lewis is
great. Lewis is overseas. Can't wait for I miss my buddy Lewis.
Lewis needs to get back here so he can once again be an American hero.
Yeah, he'll be back soon. I think that's it. Thanks to our guest. See you guys in a couple weeks. Don't forget, MotoXpodShow@gmail.com for the Tim Tams and FXR casual wear giveaway. Give us your best story or best thought of what you would do for some Tim Tams, and we'll read that thing on air for the next show. Other than that, we're out. See ya.